To res or not to res? That is the question proposed here in one of your comments and questions from my other videos. By the way, I love those questions and comments, guys. If you have them, leave them down below. It makes me a better player just thinking about them. I think the best way to communicate this is I'm just going to lay it out there for you, and then if you need the examples, they're going to be here. So I will have an example of each of these methods that we're about to talk about. Before we get into those, I need to tell you that we're assuming this isn't ranked. If it's ranked based on the rank structure right now, you should probably just go and rat. I mean, placement is key. It doesn't matter if your teammates are alive or not. I know I would be happy as long as I broke even on any of my games, so hopefully other people feel the same way. Assuming you need to do this res or banner retrieval, what you really need is time and space. You need to be able to get in and get out and be able to heal. And most people don't really think about that. A lot of people just go in and try and make the res happen. And this video clip here exemplifies what happens when you do that. Now, he res me, so I was happy with this, but ultimately if he had gotten on height, this might have changed the fight a little bit more. Okay, so time is important, but how much time do we actually need? So whenever we look at this example here, I'm gonna res my teammate in a second, and we'll see it takes the 6 seconds to get him up. From there, we still need time for him to heal before we can really engage, so that reset time. So on top of the 6 seconds, we need about 5 seconds for him to pop a bat, and then we also need, 7 or 8 seconds for the med kit to go off. And that's assuming that he has those items available. If he has to manually heal with syringes or cells, this could take longer. So this reset time is critical to think about in trying to make your decision of whether or not you should be resing your teammate or even trying to come in and grab their banner. So now let's talk about how to make that time and space. First method is your 1v1. Now this topic could be an entire video by itself, but for here, we're just talking about trying to collapse your enemies so you're only dealing with one problem. Now by collapsing your enemies, you're generally going to want to move only in one direction. This is going to force any flanking maneuvers to draw in together, causing a funnel effect. I know it's a terrible picture, but it's very important to see this, okay? Let's say this is our circle, this is a bad guy on top, that's a bad guy at the door, and the blue dot is us. Now, the guy on top is going to get off the top and come around for a flank, and the guy in front of us is going to use the door as cover on attacking. Now, assuming that's our setup, look at how much of an angle we have to hold. It's almost 180 degrees, and that's just one of us trying to hold both those angles. You're doomed for failure. The power of following back in a linear line and drawing them into a funnel is shown here as we move back to this next piece. Just one piece of cover back, mind you. And we have this guy who probably has the same angle. He might move up to that cover, he might not. The guy that went for the flank is probably going to use the cover we were just using, but look at the attack angles. There's way less terrain that you have to cover as a solo person to be successful. So taking that concept back to here, look at how I do this. I know there's 2 people in here. I say I gotta pull them out in the open. While my teammate is not down, it is the same principle about pulling them out and trying to thirst you. Pull them out into the open, make them condense onto each other, because now I know the second teammate is right around here somewhere, just on the other side of cover. And look right where he was. Exactly the same path that Bangalore was taking. If you're gonna do 1v1s, make them 1v1s by funneling your enemies down. Chaos and Deception is the next best tool to get these reses and develop that time you need. I've got teams fighting above me, so I know that they're busy with their audio and visual clutter up there. Now, if you're a Mirage main, you've got this probably pretty well mastered because your bamboozles can be just embarrassing. But all those bamboozles bought him time to res a teammate. Now, if you're a normal player, grenades is a great way to do it. And maybe not even at the person, but just grenades around. Run a certain direction, do a slide, and then whenever they are starting to get too stimulated and they're not really sure what's happening, go silent. They will generally think that you probably ran off, and you can literally just hang out right next to them and they'll never find you. Now, the next best thing that can happen is a distraction. If you can't provide it yourself, then a third party coming in and they're focused on fighting them, or they're looting somebody's box, or they just decide to get out of there because the ring's coming in. All those things help you because that gives a stimulus for them to focus on and not you. That's your time to move out and go get your buddy's banner. Now this worked out pretty well here and I was able to sneak away. Not the first time I've done that. It takes a little bit of patience, but you can do it too. The main points of this video is to establish how long a res really takes, whether or not you should be 1v1ing because you understand generally what that requires, and then also having the idea of chaos and distraction in the back of your head to be able to pull off a res if that's what you need. Now this last clip I have just playing is an example of me checking for a 1v1, see if it's a good idea. It turns out it's not, and then I go for chaos and distraction. Now I'm just gonna let this play out because it's a little bit longer. If you got the concepts, you don't got to stick around, man. Go to the next video, enjoy your day. But I hope that this video helped you, and I'll see you in the next one.